Okay, how's this sound, guys? Is this better or worse? Hello? I'll just sit here and drink while you guys chime in. Okay, there's one of you. Let's get those numbers back up there. 2 have joined in. Okay, Kitty's back. Am I sounding better, Kitty?
Much better.
Much better, all right. Very good, I'm glad I am better. Let me get my glasses. Perfect, all right. Well, hey, you know. Melissa's there, all right. I don't know what went happening tonight, but I'm glad that, way better. Yvonne, how are you? All right, I'm getting lots of people enjoying Take Two. Way better already. All right, then maybe my dance moves and my singing would be better. Should I go back to the singing? Because maybe it was the internet earlier that made my singing sound bad.
The jumping.
It was, you know, it had to have been something with the internet that made my singing go.
Your dance moves broke the internet.
My stairwell moved to the other side of the house. You know what I think that is, Kitty? I think one time when I was with Ellen, she did something on my phone to make something swap around, and I don't think when I do it on my my laptop, it does that. So I think I don't know if it's the right way or the wrong way now. What are you doing? I think it was the right way.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, now the stairs are right.
All right, now are the stairs the right way?
Oh my god.
Okay, I don't know. This is technical. I am not the Facebook Live guru. That's your lady's job. You ladies make it all look so simple and everything. So yes, Valerie, I was giving you kudo credits. So when you couldn't hear me, I was giving you kudo credits for this ad because it was awesome. Really great ad. And really great shout out. Physically distanced, socially connected. And that's what we all are right now. That's what we're doing tonight. We're socially connected. So I was, yes, she did, Kitty. that is beyond me. Although we have Rebecca here too, so she could have done it too. But I'm glad that it is, that my stairs are in the right place. Well, we'll have, maybe we'll have a conference at my house sometime. I live in the country on lots of acreage, so we could almost have a conference here. Oh no, that just scared Cassandra. I'm not trying to give you any ideas, Adele. Okay, so let's talk about what's happened since we last were together. Yes, the bill passed Congress. The House passed it today on a voice vote, and the President has already signed it. So that means that all the agencies mentioned in this now need to get to work making the bill real and putting all that together. So we should have more real information on a lot of that stuff next week as it comes together and they're actually implementing it. And I will be on top of all my contacts with that and let you know as each provision is available. Couple things with the SBA. One, I want to let you know that my own disaster loan application moved from in review to a real person, and I actually got contacted by that real person today. And so that was a really good step. And that happened in 10 days, I think, from my original application to moving to a person. We had a quick back and forth. He needed one more document, which was a silly form that took about 2 seconds to sign and send back to him. And which I did, and he said he would call me in a couple of days, which is great. So that is moving forward. Okay, so there are now 3 different SBLA programs that will be a part of this. Okay, there is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is the thing I've been advising everyone to apply for. And actually, they announced that not-for-profits in that will get it at a lower rate. So 3.75 for everybody, 2.75 for not-for-profits. So that's a good news for our not-for-profit friends out there. But, so we have that program. And we have the Paycheck Protection Plan loan that we talked about that converts to a grant that we spent a lot of time talking about last night. And that's a program. And now they have a new one to add on top of that, which is, hang on, let me make sure I use the correct government acronym for it. Yeah, I was really shocked that it's moved at all, because I've had a lot of people contacting me. Every day I go on and it just says in review, and so the fact that it's moved from in review to a person. And like I have a direct phone number and everything for that person that has it and everything, I was just like shocked. Okay? And so their new thing that's added on top of both those programs, and this will be very quick to get, is the Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program. Okay? The Express Bridge Loan Pilot Program is designed to tide you over until you can get the economic disaster injury loan. Okay, so that since that takes longer to get, they know people need some cash now. And so the idea behind this loan is that SBA approved lenders can issue it very, very quickly for up to $25,000. Okay, and the repayment, it's designed to be paid with some of the proceeds of the economic injury disaster loan. So let's say you took an Express Bridge loan, okay, for $25,000, and you got a $75,000 disaster loan, okay. The first $25,000 of that would pay off the Express Bridge loan, okay. So it's designed to get some money quick. If you end out taking the bridge loan, okay, and not taking the disaster loan, okay, this loan converts to a 7-year loan. So it's designed to be very quick. You should be able to, I'm expecting without much fanfare, be able to get that from SBA approved lenders next week. I have already emailed tonight when this was released two of my contacts to just confirm how easy that is. I emailed my banker to see if they're up to date on it. I actually said, I know the ink's not even dry on this bill, but before the ink that's wet, since they were writing this as everybody was signing it and voting on it and everything else, before it smudges and somebody thinks the bill means something else, where are we with these two things? So I emailed my district contact at the SBA to confirm that, and I should have that for you shortly. So I'll as soon as I have that confirmation. But this looks like a nice, easy way. Yes, the interest rate's a fixed rate on the bridge loan, and I believe it's not to exceed 4%. But they are trying to get that out quickly and waive fees and everything else, just so they can get it out, so people can have some cash right now, because they get it, and that leads me into some other initiatives that weren't covered in this legislation, but people are actively working on, and part of it is a hope that the governors will do some things and the Fed will do some things with their broad authority. So the National Retail Federation and others have reached out to the country's governors and mayors seeking an emergency declaration on commercial tenancy, so that a commercial tenancy can't be terminated or evicted for a 90-day period. They're also seeking emergency forbearance and rent abatement to preserve retailers' ability to recover from the widespread store closures that have been mandated by government. So they're looking for an additional solution on this, and National Retail Federation is actively, and other organizations are actively working with the governors and mayors who can do some of this with executive order, but they've also reached out to the Fed and Jerome Powell. This letter went to, yes, I do remember, Yvonne. That is not you are not in a cheap area at all. And so I think, getting a bridge and then getting a real loan will carry you forward and get you to the other side. And they're putting pressure on Jerome Powell at the Fed and the Secretary and Steve Mnuchin at the Treasury to provide liquidity to the mortgage companies that are holding the mortgages on all these strip centers and plazas and malls around the country. Because part of the problem is your landlord has a loan and covenants that they have to maintain, or they have automatic processes that they have to do. Like, they have to report their tenancies every quarter and how far behind anyone is with the rent and all these things. And so they're looking for the Fed to fill in the gap with the mortgage companies that are holding the actual paper on these commercial properties. So they're going a two-pronged approach. That hasn't happened. Nothing has come of that yet, but that is where the advocacy is going and trying to help on the other side, because we're all in a big circle together, okay? I was talking to one of my landlords the other day, and, he's like, I had to lay off people too, and furlough people, and he's like, well, a couple of them I really don't want back. And I think some of you are finding that as well, as you are carrying more of a load right now. You're like, I can adjust this, and I want most of my people back, but that one, nah, not so much. But he's like, I've got to pay these. I can't meet all my obligations if my tenants aren't paying. So it is a big circle, and we're all in this together. But if the Fed and the Treasury can do some stuff on the mortgage securities that are actually doing all this to give everybody some relief, the idea is that the relief will trickle down. And not only trickle down, but be mandated if they get the relief on the mortgage side and investment side, because the Fed and the Treasury have broad authority. I mean, they are not locked in to specific things in the way they implement these programs. So that is huge. Nothing on the Main Street grants at this point. That hasn't come to fruition yet, but they are working on that with them as well, Jennifer. But if they get take care of the mortgages and stuff for the landlords, that's going to ease things, because you saw today, or over the last couple of days, all these big national tenants. I mean, cash flow is king, and they're in A Plaza. So take, like, the Cheesecake Factory that said they aren't going to make any of their April 1st rent obligations, okay? That's huge, okay? But they're in all prime plazas, prime malls and strip centers that are very expensive, okay? And take a lot of money. They don't have the extra cash to carry the whole chain around, and that's just reverberating throughout the industry. Mattress Firm is doing it. Dunkin' Donuts is having issues with their landlords and tenants, and one of my landlords has a Dunkin' Donuts in our plaza, okay, that's only open for drive-through right now, okay, and the Dunkin' Donuts is owned by his brother-in-law, so we'll see how how that makes Thanksgiving taste. But these are real issues, and it's faced all up and down the economy. So I'm optimistic for some flexibility and some things happening there. Other things in the bill that are part of this bill, okay, is as we retain employees, we are going to be eligible for an employee retention tax credit, okay, of up to $10,000 per employee on wages paid or incurred from March 13th, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, on if we had to comply with a full or partially shutdown order, and or our gross receipts declined by more than 50% compared to the same quarter in a prior year. So that is really good news. Again, it's not a today money, but it is good news for business and the things that they're doing for us, because they want Main Street to survive. They want our businesses to survive, and we are the ultimate Main Street business. So this is really good information, and that's done deal. That's part of this bill. That's off to the IRS to make that law. I mean, that law is in is happening. So we covered that. We covered, so with the exactly, and that's what the National Retail Federation is been working on, and that's why they're going after the governors for that and everything else. But they're actually looking to get the Fed to get involved. So, and Ohio is a perfect example, Michelle, because the president of the National Retail Federation used to run the Ohio Retail Association. So he is tight there with the people in Ohio and getting them taken care of. So that is correct, Julie. $10K per employee, in their hours for the rest of the year. So that is that tax credit. So that's going to be helpful moving forward. And the other part of that, Michelle, is that by going to the Treasury and the Fed, they're going to work on getting it so that the landlords get that amount abated as well, because the Fed pumps the money into their mortgages, and then they can actually abate that for you and not add it to your back end. So that's the other side of the advocacy. So it's huge. It's a great advocacy, and I'm optimistic, especially the chairman of the Council of Governors, or National Governors Association, is Larry Hogan out of Maryland, who's a great guy. One of the guys that's one of his policymakers actually used to work for the National Retail Federation, so I know him, and he's in with him. So there's a lot of moving parts of who and they get how devastating this is, while also trying to protect everyone. They understand that they're trying to protect lives while also destroying people's livelihoods. So they get it, and they're going to pump unprecedented amounts of money into it. And that leads to some of the other calls that I've had today. As states are trying to figure this out, okay, Massachusetts, for example, is likely to extend, and other states are going to extend some of the dates that they have for closures. Massachusetts is expected to extend their store closures till May 4th, which, a whole nother more than a month from now, just is devastating. We want to protect lives, but it's devastating. So they're looking at ways, and they're working with the National Retail Federation and state retail associations on ways that restrictions could be lifted, whether that is limited access to stores, 2 people at a time, 1 person. They're working out the language for that. So I hope to have more on that next week. But that's part of the negotiations, is what would they allow for stores to do, and especially in Massachusetts, which has a lot of archaic laws, and it has a lot of fiefdoms, for lack of a better term. Okay, so you get the state saying one thing, and then the local health inspector decides, I'm in charge, and decides to have their own local regulation that's different. And so they're really trying to get some state mandates done, so that all of this comes together and we can bring our stores back online. They're also working with the governments to work on post stores being open, post letting people go back to work, what they're going to do to incentivize people and promote that it's safe to go back out, okay? Because you're creating a fear here too. You're creating a panic, you're creating a fear, and there's a lot of legitimate reasons to be scared and scared of this virus. But from a marketing perspective, you then need to walk that back when things can return to normal. So you have to get out there and show how great it is to eat out and have lunch at these restaurants and dinner and go shopping and ditch the phone and ditch the computer. I can go in this store and buy things. And so there's going to be a lot of promotions. There's going to be a lot of push on states for sales tax holidays and other things to get people back in the habit of being out there and shopping. But it's a scary time. A lot of national retailers have canceled all their orders that are due in through June. Okay, so that's big. H&M did. A lot of people. I need to bow for the Queen. The resale royalty is in the house. Oh my, Suzanne, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. How's Schneider? So that is really important, and the states know that's important, and they're going to work so that it isn't going to be all our work to get people back into the stores. The states are going to be doing that. The state retail associations, the National Retail Federation, they are already talking about. That was one of my meetings today. Was what do we need to do for stores when things are allowed back online and allowed to do. But there will probably be more as part of this. It won't necessarily, there's also the potential, absolutely, Ohio's Retail Association is awesome. That's how Matt Shea, who's the current president, who's a great guy, he has a great hair day every day. So you kind of know what his hair looks like. But the Ohio Retail Association is a really great, strong retail association and a great advocate for retail. Plus, your legislature there is very receptive. Your congressman, and because I've met with some of them before, it's really phenomenal. They get it. They get what it's like to work in a store. They understand how that fuels the economy. And keep in mind, retail is 1 in 4 jobs in this economy. Okay? That is huge. So, don't forget that. There's also talk, and right now it is just policy talk, but there is talk of creating a by state, because insurance regulations are by state, a state guarantee fund for business interruption insurance. And the reason for that is, as we know, business interruption insurance that we all carry and have all been paying for isn't covering squat during our business interruption. And so they are talking about creating a backstop for that with the states to cover that. So that would be really great if that comes to bear, and I will keep you updated as those negotiations happen. But the other thing, as I talked about on a state-by-state basis of openings being delayed, Nordstrom nationwide is currently saying they won't open their stores now till April 5th. Coach is saying April 10th. Men's Warehouse is telling all their stores May 4th. Ross, H&M, and others are pushing back even. They've all canceled orders and stuff. Yes, the eviction ban is on commercial properties, and that has to come out from the governors of the individual states by executive order, and that is expected to pass, Lindsay. That the states, yes, grants. Local communities are being really awesome in providing grants, Sue. So they are out there. Adele posted a link earlier, and we'll repost that. Forbes has been really good by state and by city of posting what's available out there, but there is grant money out there beyond the National Payroll Protection Act that will get you some money that is a grant, so on a national basis. So there is money out there. The next town over from us, not our town that we're in, is giving $2,500 grants to small businesses. So there is money. They want to keep business going, and they understand what this is creating. And it really is lives and livelihoods. You're trying to save lives. I get it. And I don't want anyone to be harmed by this. No, this was no one's fault in here. This is no one business. This isn't something you did. This isn't bad decisions you did. Because I've heard from so many of you. I've spent all day on the phone. Okay, a lot of it FaceTime because I really want to get our physical distancing connections with you as I've been doing it. So I've been doing a lot of these calls by FaceTime. But, this isn't going to put you out of business, okay? This is the loans, the grants. We're going to get to the other side. Our best days are ahead of us. They're not behind us. Our best days are ahead of us. So do not forget that. We've talked a lot about unemployment and such, and I wanted to reach back into that. So I was advised by our accountant today to actually file. So he's like, you and Cassandra should file. You've paid into this. You should take it. If they later on decide to claw some of it back, we'll give some of it back, but he doubts it. He's like, just take it right now. He's like, you've got no revenue. You're going to be closed again for probably another month. The massive decline in revenue, and don't worry about it. And so he told us to do that today. That was his advice. You have to make your own decisions, but that was his advice. And I know it's, and we've talked about it with a lot of you, it's a psychological thing. People have never filed unemployment before in their life. This is not a handout. This is to all get us to the other side. So look at that and, make the decision that's right for you and your business. But that was my accountant's advice today. I did want to talk, there's been a lot of good news too, additional good news. I've heard from lots of stores today about consigners that want to see you still around, that have been donating their consignment proceeds, okay, that have been bringing consignment store owners to tears by just saying, zero out my account and give that to the store so that you're still here for me. And there's been a lot of that happening, just profound ways for people to give and take part, and they're part of your community and they're part of your future success. So it is wonderful that some of those things are happening. I also had one of the Carrie, that is, in a true sense, yes. Absolutely, if you file for unemployment, you're not supposed to do any work. The reality is you're going to do some because that's what all owners do. And when you file, you have to claim that you're still a stockholder of the company and everything. But the reality is, and the presumed feeling is that since we're under a ordered close order, that the little bit of revenue that will come in during that time, the revenue that you're getting isn't enough to do it, to worry about it. And so my accountant was like, even if they claw back, if you collect 4 weeks or something, if we're closed for another month and they claw back 1 week because of online sales, so be it. Okay, and not worry about it. Okay. Huh? Yeah, that he wasn't worried about it. In what way that we're doing things. He's like, it's not going to make enough of a difference in relative to make a difference there. So he wasn't. He actually encouraged it. So the tax implication, obviously, Dennis, that would increase your revenue. It would reduce your expenses if you're not paying that money out, is your tax implication, because you're reducing your cost of goods sold. So you're reducing that and increasing your income. They do want you to continue paying them, but the way the bill is worded, Nancy, you can bring them back on, and you're almost certainly going to get the majority of the credit as long as you're able to restore your business levels. So don't worry about it. So yes, I've been encouraging my people to file that don't have other full-time jobs. That's correct. You do file for your employees have to file for themselves. But I did want to touch base because one of the calls I had today was from a bookkeeper, so from all the consulting that I do and working with all of you out there, there's several bookkeepers out there that work for a bunch of you, which is great. And that is wonderful, but the one that called me today and wanted to have a conversation about a couple of our mutual clients was like, yes, the forgivable loan, Sue, is an automatic. That's going to be an easy thing on top of it, regardless of what you do with your staff. Covered a lot of that last night. So if you watched the replay from last night, I covered the forgivable loan. Though there are those stores that are totally killing it with online, and what the bookkeeper wanted to emphasize with that is they're killing it on multiple platforms. Yes, a website is absolutely important for your business. It's totally important, but that's not where you're initially going to kill it. You're going to kill it there in the long term because you're going to refer people back to your site. But you're initially going to kill it on Facebook Lives, on Posh, on eBay. eBay is waiving fees and deferring fees for people. They're going all out to get people to do that. And list there. So some of the platforms that already have traffic, okay, you have to build traffic to your own website, and I want you to have your own website because I want you to then refer people back to it. But using these other sources, you can really kill it. And bookkeepers that have several of you as clients was really emphasizing that today in the ones whose books she does that were killing it. Versus not killing it. So that is an important fact. And hang on a second, what else do I got here for you tonight? Right, you can defer your eBay fees with just a couple of clicks if you need to. So and they're totally doing that. So making it very, very easy for people. And I think that finishes my pile for tonight. Watch last night's replay if you haven't seen it, because that one covered a huge amount of the CARE Act and everything. I will have more specifics on that next week as it's actually being implemented, and when you can actually go and get some of this money, which is just really going to be terrific. It's again, they're greasing the system. They're putting money into the system, and that's so important right now. Okay, and that is where we are at for a Friday night, everybody. Anything about credit card fees? No, I don't have anything about... The associations are still pushing back on that. The MasterCard... So, Michelle's asking about credit card fees. She probably won't get it, Crystal, but it doesn't hurt to try. And it won't help you one way or the other. It's not enough to make one way or the other about the National Payroll Protection Act. Okay? But the credit card fees, it's still in discussion. I think if anything comes, it'll be by size of merchant. Because they will be, I'll be back on tomorrow, Kitty. I committed to doing this for the duration every night at 8. So I'll if nothing else than to dance and sing to you, I'll be back on tomorrow at 8 for you. And I'll have any new information. It seems like there's always something new, probably a little less on the weekend. And, the credit card associations, the MasterCard and Visas have not agreed to abate or defer fees at this point, and that is a big bill for a lot of retailers. Think the ones that aren't going to pay their rent, that have already announced they're not paying their rent, and the credit card fees at Cheesecake Factory or Mattress Firm or some of these others. Truly just here to guide us through this all. I'm honored to be able to be here to be your guide and shepherd us through this really tough situation. So we'll get to the other side of it, because you are not alone running this store. Please send me your questions, your concerns. I'm happy to answer them. I answer them all. I call everybody back that asks me to call. Absolutely. Most of you have my phone number, so call me, Facebook me, email me, Neil, Neil, at ECIstores.com. You are not alone running this store. I'll be back for you tomorrow night at 8, and we'll see what I have for a cocktail tomorrow night. You guys have a great evening. Thank you so much for joining me.